It is Breast Cancer Awareness Month. Joining us today is a woman who has devoted her adult life to fighting for breast cancer patients and their families, Nancy Brinker. She started a new effort, the Promise Fund of Florida. Your work precedes itself. Thank you so much for coming in today. What kind of promise or what made you shift and go into the Promise Fund?
Because I've lived here in Florida for many, many years, and like many communities throughout the United States, there are big gaps. There are lots of organizations who fund different things, but at the end of the day, in communities, we really are dealing with people with individualized issues, and the Promise Fund is set to help organize navigators specifically from their own communities to help people reach out who have no trust in the healthcare system. We have a fragmented and rather broken healthcare system in Florida, as you know. And I've seen this over the years, and now that I've worked at 40 years building a national organization, I really want to help build a community, a model that any community can use and overlay on their breast and cervical cancer issues or other chronic health issues.
In terms of those navigators you mentioned, they're coming from their own communities.
That's right.
That's vital to you.
Yes, that's very, very important because we want to make very sure people feel comfortable and that they have a similar background and they understand and speak the same language.
Go into the Promise Fund. I think we have to backtrack just a little bit for our viewers watching this at home.
Right.
What is it?
It is an organization dedicated to lowering death rates from breast and cervical cancer, could be later on other diseases, because we know that these diseases detected, patients navigated and treated early are curable. Breast and cervical cancer caught in stage 1 or 2 are curable, and yet over the last 5 years in the state of Florida, 15,000 women have died of these diseases. It's unnecessary, and I was reading the data one night and I said, this can't go on. Florida is the 3rd largest state, and we have real issues in South Florida with not having enough public, not-for-profit hospitals and facilities to treat patients.
There are so many organizations out there that work with cancer survivors, breast cancer patients.
Right.
How does the Promise Fund complement those groups and organizations?
Well, first of all, we'll fund many of these organizations. We will fund a patient navigator if they are going to join the work that we're doing, reaching out very specifically in specific communities and neighborhoods to make sure the patient is navigated through the journey of this. And it's very important that we all get along, work hard, do what we can do, because it takes an army and it's going to take a while to manage this. But if we don't wrap our hands fully around disparities in this country, disparities of care, of early detection, of knowledge, we will not progress in our national cancer program.
Correct me if I'm wrong, promisefund.org. We want to make sure our viewers go there. You're sitting at home, you want to learn more, perhaps ways you can get involved, and there are plenty.
promisefundoflorida.org.
Got it. promisefundoflorida.org. Nancy, nice to see you.
Thank you
so much for coming in.
Thank you.
And we can't wait to hear more in the coming years.